Hola, buenos días. Yo soy Manoj
Yo soy Aparna.
y bienvenidos por la última vez en España. If you guys ever wondered how Spanish is going to sound in a monotonous, thick South Indian accent, you are an immense luck. I'm going to demonstrate just that in the next 1 minute short introduction. There will be subtitles to distract you from whatever I am saying. But after the introduction, rest of the episode will be in English, but in the same South Indian accent. Hola, ¿qué tal? Esto es nuestro tercer viaje en España. En el primer viaje fuimos en el parte central, como Madrid, Segovia, Ávila, Toledo, y el parte noreste, como Zaragoza, Tarragona, Girona y Barcelona. En el segundo viaje hemos visitado el parte norte, como Galicia, Asturias, Cantabria, Navarra, Países Vascos y Castilla y León. En el tercer viaje vamos a poner un road trip por el sur de España. Vamos a empezar aquí, en Extremadura. Después vamos a visitar las famosas ciudades de Andalucía, como Cádiz, Málaga, Cartagena, Córdoba, Sevilla y Granada. Y en el final vamos a terminar en Valencia.
Hello everyone, so it's day 1 from Spain. So we flew into Madrid last night and we are heading to Merida today. And on the way we are stopping at 2 towns. The first one being Trujillo.
Trujillo is located 2.5 hours southwest of Madrid. It was here in 1498 that one Francisco Pizarro was born. He was the one who conquered Peru and ended the Incan Empire. There he is, proudly riding his bronze horse in the Plaza Mayor of Trujillo.
The second small town that we visited is Cáceres, which is located just half an hour west of Trujillo. The city was founded in 25 BC by the Romans. It was later conquered by the Visigoths, Moors, Almohads, and finally by the Crown of Castile. Hence, the old town, known as the Ciudad Monumental, has a blend of Roman, Moorish, Gothic, and Renaissance architecture. Thanks to its unique architecture, the city is an UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Our main destination of the day, Merida, is an hour south of Cáceres. The city was founded by the Romans as Augusta Emerita in 25 BC. Emerita means retired in Latin, ergo Professor Emeritus. It was here that the Romans settled their war veterans of the Iberian conquest. Merida soon grew in importance and eventually became the capital of the Roman province of Lusitania. Thanks to this, it houses the most extensive Roman-era ruins in the country. Its Roman bridge is the longest of all surviving Roman bridges. Its aqueduct, even in this ruined state, was so awe-inspiring that people called it Aqueducto de los Milagros. Its stunning theatre is one of the best preserved in entire Western Europe.
Esto es nuestra habitación en Mérida. Y esto es el baño. Largo.
Hello everyone, so it's day 2 from Spain. We are in Sevilla today and I'm standing in Plaza de España.
A 2-hour drive brought us to Seville. We are now in Andalusia. Long before the Romans came the Phoenicians. They were originally from the Levant region. They and the Greeks were master seafarers and they divided the Mediterranean coast between themselves. Phoenicians controlled the African and the southern Iberian coast. Rome took Iberia from the Phoenicians after the Punic Wars. The town Hisbal that the Phoenicians found in the 8th century BC became Hispalis under the Romans and Seville today. The Islamic presence in Spain lasted from 712 to 1492 and it had several phases. The first was the Emirate of Cordoba under the Umayyads. When that collapsed in the 11th century, we had a bunch of independent taifas. They invited the Almoravids from Morocco to slow down the Christian Reconquista. The Almohads soon took over from the Almoravids And it was these Almohads who made Seville the regional capital of Al-Andalus.
Here are the top 3 sites in Seville. First is the Alcazar. It was a fort built by the Umayyads in the 10th century and expanded by the Almohads. In the 14th century, the fort got a major facelift when Peter I of Castile built a palace in its premises. He was a big fan of all things Moorish and built a palace exclusively in the Mudéjar style instead of the prevailing Gothic one. Mudéjar style refers to the Christians building in the Islamic style. Superficially, it resembles the Moorish style. Up close, you can see several Christian motifs. Second is the cathedral. Almohads built a grand mosque here in 1172, which was converted to a cathedral after Ferdinand III conquered Seville in 1248. This is the largest Gothic cathedral on the planet and the 4th largest after Vatican, Sao Paulo and Cordoba. The bell tower used to be the minaret of the previous mosque, and as Almohads were from Morocco, it clearly resembles the minaret in Marrakesh. The other surviving Islamic elements is the patio of the oranges, which used to be the sahn, with a central fountain for the ritual ablutions. Third is the Plaza de España. It is barely a century old. Built in 1928 for the Ibero-American Exposition, it is a textbook example of Spanish regionalism architecture, mixing elements of the Baroque, Renaissance and Neo-Mudéjar styles.
Esto es nuestra habitación en Sevilla. Muy pequeña. Esto es el baño. Muy limpio.
Hola everyone, so it's day 3 from Spain. We are heading to Malaga today, and on the way we are going to be stopping at the white villages of Andalusia, and the first stop is Cadiz.
It took us an hour and a half to get to Cadiz from Seville. Cadiz was one of the first cities founded by Phoenicians, making it one of the oldest cities still standing in Western Europe. Since we had a long day ahead, we did not get to spend much time here other than walk the waterfront and check out its cathedral from the outside. The cathedral was built between 1722 and 1838.
We then drove along one of the popular scenic drives in the country, one that took us past the famous white villages of Andalusia. The custom of painting the houses white goes back to the Roman times, and there are several such villages that dot these regions. We only had time to visit the top 2. First is the Arcos de la Frontera, one of the most photogenic villages, and thanks to the morning sun, we got to see it at its gleaming best. The second is the town of Ronda, which houses one of the most famous bridges in the country, the dramatic New Bridge, a bridge that spans 105-meter deep gorge cut by the Guadalquivir River. Don't forget that this is Europe, so new means 18th century. The bridge was built in 1793.
The afternoon was spent in Malaga, another city founded in the 8th century BC by the Phoenicians, and Rome inherited it after the Punic Wars. The Romans built this impressive theatre in the 1st century AD. The fort on the hill behind is the Alcazaba. Most of the structure was built in the 11th century during the time of the Taifas. In the 15th century, Malaga became part of Granada, and its ruler, Muhammad II, built a palace complex here. Further uphill is the castle of Gibralfaro, another fort complex built by the Nasrid rulers of Granada. The castle offers fantastic views from its ramparts.
Aquí está nuestra habitación en Málaga, un ibis. Esto es el baño.
Hola everyone, so it's day 4 from Spain. We are in Cordoba today and I'm standing at Medina Az-Zahra.
Cordoba is located less than 2 hours drive north of Malaga.
The first Islamic state in Iberia was the Emirate of Cordoba. It was set up by the only surviving member of the Umayyads, Abdul Rahman I. He made Cordoba his capital and built this mosque, first in the entire Iberian Peninsula. The mosque is famous for this array of two-tiered arches. They are supposed to represent a forest of palm trees, common sight in Syria, the homeland of Umayyads. The mosque was converted to a cathedral in 1236. Although this is the third largest cathedral on the planet, the original Islamic design has been largely left untouched.
In the early 10th century, the Fatimids of Egypt decided to put a rival caliph challenging the authority of the Abbasids. Then reigning Emir of Cordoba, Abdul Rahman III, decided to emulate the Fatimids and declared himself as a caliph, upgrading the Emirate of Cordoba to the Caliphate of Cordoba. This Medinat az-Zahra was built to serve as the new palace of the caliph. It was built between 936 and 976 AD. Within half a century, the caliphate collapsed, leaving this palace city in complete ruins.
One of the must-dos in Cordoba is to simply lose oneself in the labyrinth of narrow alleys in the well-preserved Juderia, the old Jewish quarters where the Jews lived between the 10th and the 15th centuries. Another must-do would be to cross the 2,000-year-old Roman bridge to watch the sun set on this breathtaking skyline of Cordoba.
Esto es nuestro hotel en Córdoba.
Esta es nuestra habitación en Córdoba. Una habitación muy larga. Esto es el baño.
Hello everyone, so it's day 5 from Spain. We are driving to Granada today, and on the way we are stopping at a few small towns. This is Ubeda.
This is the driving route for the day that took us from Cordoba to Granada. Pedro el Primero of Castile, if you remember, was the one who built the Alcázar of Seville. He was deeply influenced by the Islamic culture of Al-Andalus. This was held against him by his fellow Christians, and he was often accused of being a secret Muslim. Pedro was soon dragged into a civil war, which he lost to his half-brother Enrique el Segundo. As Pedro's main alliance was with the Islamic Granada, the ground zero of this civil war was the nearby Ubeda and Baeza. Both the cities were completely destroyed as a result. This was all in the mid-14th century. In the 16th century, these two cities were completely rebuilt in the prevailing Renaissance style. Hence, Ubeda and Baeza do not have a mishmash of styles built over millennia. Their architecture is all uniform and strike a very pretty picture. As a result, the Renaissance monumental ensembles of Ubeda and Baeza is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the afternoon, we had just enough time for a quick photo stop in Jaén. The highlight is its cathedral, the second largest Renaissance cathedral in Spain after Granada. The best view of the cathedral is from the Castillo de Santa Catalina, a 8th century Moorish fort expanded by the Nazarites of Granada and later by Fernando III el Santo. By the way, this region of Jaén is considered to be the world capital of olive oil, producing over 25% of the world's output and roughly 45% of Spain's total.
Among the 3 trips to Spain, gastronomically, this trip was the best. Vegetarian food was easy to find in Andalusia. For breakfast, our favorite was pan con tomate, a very simple and tasty dish of fresh tomato salsa on toasted bread, sometimes topped with avocado. For snacks, we binged on empanadas. They were filled with spinach, cheese and eggplant. The most exotic snack was the eggplant fritters topped with honey that we had in Cordoba. For lunch and dinner, in addition to the usual pizzas and an occasional soya bean burger, we had paellas. The best paella was of course in Valencia, the place where the dish was invented. They took half an hour to make this paella, totally worth the wait. It was absolutely delicious. Among the drinks, our favorite was Cola Cow. We had it almost every morning.
Hello everyone, so it's day 6 from Spain. We are in Granada today, and today will be all sights of Granada, and we are in Alhambra now.
The Emirate of Granada was the last Islamic state in Iberia. It was founded in 1238 by Muhammad I and he commissioned the first palace here in Alhambra. The complex was expanded by his successors, with most of the addition happening in the 14th century under Yusuf I and Muhammad V. Alhambra is the crowning glory of Islamic architecture in Iberia. The delicate columns, the ornate ceilings, and the intricately carved doorways are absolutely stunning. In 1492, the combined forces of Castile and Aragon ended the Islamic rule in Europe. The Catholic monarchs moved into the palace, and it was here that they received Christopher Columbus when he made his case for the new voyage. Apart from the Nazareth Palace, the complex also contains a 16th century Renaissance building built by Charles V, an imposing Alcazaba, and the summer palace cum gardens of the Nazarites known as the Generalife, a Spanish corruption of Arabic Jannat al-Arifi.
Apart from Alhambra, Granada also has some fantastic churches worth visiting. First is the city's cathedral, the largest Renaissance cathedral in Spain. It was built in 1518 on top of the city's main mosque. The tombs of the Catholic monarchs are located in its royal chapel. The second is the real Monasterio de San Jerónimo, commissioned by the Catholic monarchs during the final siege of Granada. The main attraction here is the chapel, and its Mannerist altarpiece is considered a high point in Andalusian architecture. The third is the Basilica de San Juan de Dios. Built in the 18th century, the interior oozes opulence, almost all of it in gleaming gold and silver. This church is a textbook example of Spanish Baroque architecture. Last but not the least is the Monasterio de Cartuja. The charter house was commissioned in 1506, but the construction went on till the 18th century. It is another fine example of Spanish Baroque architecture. Its sacristy is built to be the most beautiful on the planet. Not an inch on it is left uncarved. It sure is breathtaking.
Esta es la nuestra habitación en Granada. Y esto es el baño. Muy pequeño.
Hello everyone, so it's day 7 from Spain. We are driving to Cartagena today, and on the way we have stopped at Murcia.
Murcia is located a little less than 3 hours northeast of Granada. Murcia is worth a stop for two primary reasons. First is its cathedral. Spanish Baroque was all hidden inside the churches in Granada. Here it is out in the open. This western facade is classic Baroque. Jaime I of Aragon conquered Murcia in 1266 and immediately converted the mosque to a cathedral. But the present structure was completed only in 1465. The second reason to stop at Murcia is to check out its Real Casino. It's an old social club dating back to 1847. The architecture here is quite stunning. It's an eclectic mixture of neo-Mudéjar, Baroque and modernist with very lavish interiors. And somehow it all works. Its iconic Arab courtyard and ballroom are a delight to photograph.
Cartagena is located just half an hour south of Murcia. After Carthage lost the First Punic War against Rome, her general Hasdrubal wanted to find a home further away from the Italian peninsula. In 227 BC, he founded a city here and named it Kart Hadasht, which means new city in Phoenician. His brother Hannibal launched his famous attack on Rome from here. This prompted the Roman general Scipio Africanus to launch an attack on this city, and he eventually captured it for Rome in 209 BC. Rome then did the signature building of infrastructure. Cartagena houses a sumptuous Roman forum containing a temple dedicated to Isis and an elaborate bath and a very well-preserved Roman theatre. There is just a small section of the original Punic wall that still stands as a testimony to the bygone Carthaginian era.
Esta es la nuestra habitación en Cartagena. No sé por qué hay 4 camas. Esto es el baño. Muy limpio.
Hola everyone, so it's day 8 from Spain. Today is all sights of Valencia.
Valencia is located 3 hours north of Cartagena. It was founded in 138 BC by the Romans. It became a strategic border town between the Visigoths and the Byzantines before falling to the Moors in the 8th century. Jaime I el Conquistador of Aragon captured it in 1238 during the Reconquista. 15th century was Valencia's golden age. That was when the city became a major silk manufacturing hub, and this fantastic silk exchange was built. Constructed between 1482 and 1533, the building has a serene orange garden, a gigantic trading hall, and a consulate pavilion with a richly decorated ceiling, all of which are wonderfully preserved till this day. The nearby Palacio del Marqués de dos Aguas stand testimony to these heydays of Valencia. It was built in the 15th century when the city was experiencing its economic boom. The building and its interior were originally built in the Gothic style, which was converted to the current exuberant Rococo style in the 18th century. The Valencia Cathedral was born when the city's main mosque was consecrated in 1238, right after its conquest. It is a fine example of Valencian Gothic, the prevailing style between the 13th and the 15th centuries. The cathedral claims to house the famous Holy Grail, the cup used by Jesus during the Last Supper.
We then headed to one of the holy grail of modern architecture, the famous City of Arts and Sciences. Built between 1996 and 1998 and designed by Santiago Calatrava and Felix Candela, the complex is considered to be one of the dozen treasures of Spain. The most eye-catching building here is the Hemispheric, which was designed to look like the very eye it was intended to catch. In the evening, we checked out the last 2 popular sites in the city. First is this Torre de Serranos, one of the original 12 gates into the city. Second is the extraordinary Iglesia de San Nicola de Bari. The building dates from the 13th century and these astonishing frescoes date from the 17th century. Thanks to these frescoes, the church is often referred to as the Sistine Chapel of Valencia.
Aquí está nuestra habitación en Valencia. Aquí está el baño, limpio y grande.
Hello everyone, so it's the last day from Spain. We are driving to Madrid today to catch the flight back to Mumbai. On the way, we have stopped at a town called Cuenca.
This is the car that has been faithfully taking us everywhere on this road trip. Cuenca is located roughly midway between Valencia and Madrid. It's a hill fort founded by the Moors in the 8th century. During the era of the Taifas, Toledo ceded it to Alfonso VI in exchange for protection. Almohads recaptured it in the 11th century. The city exchanged hands between the Christians and the Muslims till Alfonso VIII of Castile captured it for good in 1177. The city is famous for these casas colgadas, or the hanging houses. We don't know much about them other than the fact that they have been hanging in there since the 15th century. The other attraction in the city is its cathedral. Built between 1182 and 1257, it's the oldest Gothic cathedral in Spain. Cuenca is one of the best preserved medieval fortified city, due to which it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Así fue nuestro último viaje en España. Muchísimas gracias por ver el video hasta aquí. Esperemos que le haya gustado. Ahora Aparna va a contar el 10 lugares lo que más gusta más de este viaje.
At number 10, the hanging houses of Cuenca. At number 9, Murcia Cathedral. At number 8, view from the Gibralfaro in Malaga. At number 7, the Jaén Cathedral. At number 6, the Hemispheric in Valencia. At number 5, the white villages of Andalusia. At number 4, the Roman theatre at Merida. At number 3, the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba. At number 2, Plaza de España in Seville. And finally at number 1, Alhambra in Granada.
Okay, Aparna, what's your best experience of the trip?
My best experience would be walking around these beautiful fruit-laden orange trees.
That's it, folks. Until we say hi from some other part of the world, hasta luego.
Hasta la vista!